theartofconcrete.ca, and in this video I'm going to show you how I do the fine finishing for a exposed aggregate and stamped concrete porch. Right here I'm using a stand-up float, and it's about 3 feet wide, and what I'm doing right now is I'm cutting in a border on the porch. So this border goes all the way around the porch, and this is going to be a stamped border. The real trick to this is getting a straight line and make sure that it's deep enough so that when you go to do your final edge, you're not bumping into any rocks. Another thing is when you do a porch cap, we use a smaller aggregate, so it's called a 32C2 exposed, otherwise known as like a pebble stone. These are 10mm stones, so they're great for capping porches. The 3/4 inch stone is going to be too big for this type of application. We go around and vibrate the porch. This helps consolidate it and remove any voids. This is a color hardener, and it helps color the border and strengthen it as well. Lightly applied, and then we trowel it in. The important thing is not mixing these two colors. So you have your regular concrete, and then you have your colored color hardener border here. And the important thing is not mixing these two together, because it could show. This color is very potent. It will absorb into anything really well. And what I'm doing here is just basically knocking out my edge mark so that I got a nice clean seam here, so that the exposed aggregate shows really nice along that line, and that the stamped finish later when we go to stamp it leaves a nice true line. We strip the forms and then hand trowel the faces, and also take some of the color hardener from the surface and apply that to the vertical face. Now, stripping forms for porches or anything like that is a pretty advanced technique, so I would suggest that you practice. If you're going to do this yourself, practice on something small so you can understand when to do it. What we also did was we went ahead and made up some color hardener and cement color. So it's basically a cement paste, and we drizzled that along the top so that we could help get more cream or cement paste on the vertical surface, because that vertical surface is pretty hard, and to get color hardener to stick is going to be very difficult. So making up a paste from the concrete load in a wheelbarrow or something like that, you just want to sift out the stone, use the cement, then add color hardener, mix it all up, make sure it's dry enough, and then apply it to the surface. It's going to help you get that color hardener on the vertical surface. The keys to a successful porch cap are the right mix, the right timing, and having an idea of what you're going to do. So kind of envisioning the thickness, the slope, everything has to be figured out before you pour this thing, because once it's poured, you can't start figuring it out at that point. Okay, so we did use a cement. So we took cement from the concrete, we put it in a wheelbarrow, and we mixed it up so it was wet. Not super wet like water, and then we siphoned out the stone so that the stone was separated from the cement, and then we applied color hardener to the cement, mixed it up so it was nice and dry, and then we drizzled it on top of the porch here, just on the border, so that we have a little bit more color and cream to work with. This is a really important part of this stage, because not only can you finish that vertical surface really well, but you're going to strengthen that whole outside border of the porch up. You're taking it from 5,000 psi to like 7,000 or 8,000 psi, because a color hardener hardens that concrete up, and along the edges it's going to get the most wear and tear like this. So essentially, utilizing the cream with the color hardener is going to give you a solid surface. I recommend this color hardener for even regular broom finish concrete. You can get a coconut color or something like that. Just something to help strengthen that concrete. And that's what I'm all about. Okay, so shortly after, we start to apply the release agent. So this is the product that will apply to the border only. The interior area has already been sprayed with a top cast retardant so that we can reveal the aggregate the following day. Because it's 20 degrees out, it's getting cool out here in Canada. We have to wait 24 hours to wash this. And because it's a stamped border, we don't want to expose the border by accident. So we allow the concrete to cure up for about 24 hours, and then we can power wash it off the next day. So one of the things here is that we use the powder release agent on top of the border only. Then we take a textured skin such as that we're using the Pennsylvania slate texture and just hand tamping that in there. Number one, it's tender. The concrete, if you start pounding away at this, you're going to break it off. Number two, you can feel how hard and how deep that texture is going into the concrete when you hand tamp the vertical like that. Sometimes we'll use the hand float. That's more of an advanced technique to get that stamp in there. And it also saves your hands as well. These fine details, such as like right along the edge right here, this is the area that's super fragile. So not stamping it too hard, getting a good texture, and looking for those details, because that's what's going to show when this job's done. The little corners, the edges, how was that all finished? The micro details is what takes the project to the next level. It takes 1 or 2 seconds just to overlook that area and to make sure that it's stamped or whatever it is that you're doing. The 1 or 2 seconds to take your patience to accomplish something that when you look at it the next day, you're really proud of it. And you're going to learn something from any projects that you do. You're going to learn something each time, which will make you better the next time. All of us started from something. All of us started doing something. And we thought, I could do this better next time. Yes, you can. And so, sorry about that, but to jump back to the video, the stamping that we're doing right now is a Pennsylvania slate. And this is one of the pieces to a 12-piece set. And this is 12 inches by 2 feet long. And essentially, we're just creating a brick style band around the edges that just highlights the design a little bit and gives it a nice texturized look, which is more of a fine detail once we're done. The key to successfully stamping the vertical is having somebody hold it. You can see we're holding it in place, stamping it out just like this. And right now we're using a trowel because that's going to hurt if we smack that thing with our hands. So we're using a trowel, helps get that impression into the surface. And one thing I want to note, you see how it's a little darker? That's because there wasn't enough powder thrown on. And sometimes you don't always know. So after we do this, we always throw powder on there again to make sure that it's a nice, even border color. Okay, the best part, power washing. So this is 24 hours later, and we're using a 3,200 PSI pressure washer with a 25% angled nozzle. And what he's doing here is he's going to go all the way around the edges, wash up the corners, because those are probably going to be cured first. And I like to make sure that we get those edges off first. I find that concrete, when it touches brick or other concrete, tends to cure faster than an open area of the slab. The other concrete or brick will absorb the cement or the hydration of that concrete as it's curing. So those areas will tend to cure faster, and you'll get shrinkage generally starting along those areas first. So we like to pressure wash that first, then kind of work through the middle there. Years ago, I used to leave the aggregate overnight and, over a couple of days sometimes, depending on the temperature. But now the cement's changed and things cure faster. Generally, with these kinds of projects, the exposed aggregate, it's going to be something that you want to test out if you're going to do it yourself. Test small slabs or something like that with products so you can understand what the concrete is doing, how it's reacting to the environment. Because a 30-degree day is going to be completely different than a 10-degree day or even a 15-degree day. The weather really plays a role, and the shade also plays a huge role. One of the very important tips to getting an exposed aggregate the way that you want it is timing and the right product. There's a bunch of different products out there. Maybe I'll do a review on the different ones for exposed aggregate. But the one that I use here, I try not to mention it unless I'm getting paid for it. Now, this isn't really a DIY type of project. This is an advanced concrete finishing technique. There's a lot of things that go into doing something like this that have to be looked after, and some concrete experience placing and finishing concrete, understanding what it's going to do is really going to help if you ever want to accomplish something like this. Really practicing the craft. That's kind of what I've done over the years. To be able to extend my experience to the point where I can create something like this. You want to be able to practice, 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 and evaluate what's going on with the concrete. I just want to give a big shout out to everybody who is subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it. And, thanks a lot for subscribing. If there's anything that you want to see or maybe something I can improve on, I would love your feedback. Leave me a comment. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. I really appreciate you watching my videos. And if you want to learn more or you want to find out, some of the projects that I have done, check out my website at theartofconcrete.ca. Don't forget to hit subscribe, turn on the notifications bell, because we're going to be having weekly videos again, throughout the next 2024 and 2025. So thank you very much, guys. Have a great day, and don't forget to hit subscribe and comment.